So we missed day 9, and that's okay because I was down, but I feel better today. So day 9, remain faithful. I want to read the whole part, but I want you to go back and read it. It's Luke 12, and you can start at 35 all the way down to 48. But I will start at 41. Then Peter said unto the Lord, Speakest thou this parable unto us, or even to all? And the Lord said, Whom then is that faithful and wise steward, whom his Lord shall make ruler over his household, to give them their portion of meat in due season? Blessed is that servant whom his Lord, when he cometh, shall find so doing. Of a truth I say unto you, that he will make him ruler over all that he had. But and if that servant say in his heart, My Lord delayeth his coming, and shall begin to beat the men servant and maidens, and to eat and drink, to be drunken, the Lord of that servant will come in a day when he looketh not for him, and at an hour when he is not aware, and will cut him asunder, and will appoint him his portion with the unbelievers. And that servant which knew his Lord's will, and prepared not himself, neither did according to his will, shall be beaten with many stripes. But he that knew not, and did commit things worthy of stripes, shall be beaten with few stripes. But for unto whomsoever much is given, of him shall be much required, and to whom men have committed much, of him they will ask the more. So this parable is about the unfaithful servant. Of course, Peter asked Jesus, Is this for just the disciples or all people? And Jesus answered him with a parable. He wants to find us with our work done, not getting ready. This reminded me of Matthew 25 with the foolish virgins and the wise virgins. They were to be ready to see Jesus, but instead they were not ready. As people of God, we have duties to fulfill, and there is so much more expected of us. Don't become complacent, but live in readiness, because we will be held accountable for our unfaithfulness. Whatever he's called you to do, you must do it. Whatever your hands find to do, do it with all your might. Jesus is looking for some people that is going to preach the gospel, that's going to go out to the highways and hedges and compel men to come into his house. He's looking for some faithful servants. He's looking for some faithful people that is going to serve him until he comes. There's a greater reward for those that do the things that God tells them to do. If you're slacking in your faithfulness today, it's okay to get on your knees and ask God to put you back where you were. He's just faithful to forgive you. Listen, he's faithful. Be faithful to him. This reminded me of Paul encouraging Timothy in 2 Timothy chapter 2. He let him know to remain faithful in your ministry and persevere. He also let him know the more you learn, you give to others, and they'll be able to learn to share the gospel. He told him endure hardness as a good soldier. And in order for him to do that, he must be patient and be willing to sacrifice, be willing to go through for Christ. We are all responsible for sharing the gospel to the lost and winning souls to Christ. You have to do it with patience and with kindness. God did not give us the word for us to sit on it, but to pass it to the next person. When it comes to being faithful, you cannot entangle yourself with the cares of this life. Just like a soldier, when their captain tells them to do something, they must do it. That's the same with us. When God tells us to do something, we have to lay everything aside and get on guard. Further down in 2 Timothy 2, he lets him know that if he lays down his life for the sake of Christ, he will live with him. He will reign with him. And, those that struggle or are faithless to God are still held by God. I mean, he's faithful to us. There are times where we're not faithful to him, and he's still faithful to us. He's still protecting us. He still loves us. This also reminded me of the Church of Philadelphia. You can read that in Revelations 3 and 7 to 13. The church that endured patiently. They had weak areas, but they kept their beliefs and they kept their faithfulness with God. And he promised them, because of their faithfulness, he promised doors to be open. He promised them blessings. And that's the same with us. If we remain faithful to God, he's going to take care of everything. He's going to open doors that no man can shut. Also, you have to make sure that when you feel weak, his strength is made perfect. This reminded me of 1 Peter 27, that the trial of your faith, being much more precious than of gold that perisheth, though it be tried with fire, might be found unto praise and honor and glory at the appearing of Jesus Christ. After you've suffered a while, it's going to be over. It's going to be over very soon, y'all. But you must endure hardness as a good soldier. Even if the trial that you're facing right now is causing you to not want to be faithful to God, know that whatever you face is a light situation of God. 2 Corinthians 4:17. For our light affliction, which is but for a moment, worketh for us a far more exceeding and eternal weight of glory. Which means these trials ain't really nothing compared to what God has for us. I'd rather go through with God on earth than to go through without Him, because I don't know what's on the other side. Look at Job. He remained faithful to God. He lost everything and he remained faithful. And because of his faithfulness, God restored to him double for his trouble. Look, you may have lost something. You may not even understand what you're going through, but God knows. He sees. He sits high and he looks low. He has something greater for you. You must remain faithful to God. I want to hear him say, well done. Matthew 25:23. Well done, good and faithful servant. Thou hast been faithful over a few things. I will make thee ruler over many things. Enter thou into the joy of thy Lord. Look, that's all I want to hear at the end of the day. Well done, thy good and faithful servant. You've been faithful over a few things, but I'll make you ruler over many. Look, remain faithful to God. It does not matter what people say, what they do, because at the end of the day, I want to make it to heaven. I want to see his face in peace. I don't want to be caught with my work undone. I don't want it to be where he comes back and I'm sitting around chilling. I'm sitting around idle. I want to be in a place where when he comes, he will find me doing. We want to hear him say, well done. Remain faithful to God, and I promise you, he will remain faithful to you. Right now, it may not look like it, but there is joy on the other side. Remain faithful to God.